Hello Rivals fans and welcome back to the Rivals Report, the show that gets you up to speed on Rivals esports news in a nice, bite-sized package. My name is Diatonic and this is the Rivals Report number 6 for the week of July 7th, 2025. Well, last week saw the conclusion of the very first Ignite event, with Stage 1 wrapping up in dramatic fashion across all regions. But as that chapter concludes, all eyes turn to the next chapter, the mid-season finals, and the very first Rivals LAN tournament to be held in China. There are still several questions remaining about this upcoming event, but NetEase has already begun to reveal more about the MSF. Of course, aside from the 2 qualifying teams from the China region, we know which teams across the board will be in attendance for the mid-season finals. Representing the Americas region, what some would consider to be the big 3 of NA will be clashing: Sentinels, 100 Thieves, and Envy. From EMEA, Stage 1 champions Berber Patapim of course make it to China, along with the runners-up Rad Esports. Over in Asia, Stage 1 champs Reject claim their spot, with Gen.G securing the other. And finally, from Oceania, Ground Zero will serve as the sole representative for the region. As for when and where the mid-season finals will be held, only recently did we learn that it was about a month or so away and taking place in China. But now we can confirm that the MSF will be taking place from August 6th to August 10th, and they'll be in Guangzhou, China. And of course, on the line for that tournament will be the biggest single prize pool of Ignite thus far, handing out $500,000 to the top teams. For all of the Ignite and mid-season finals info you could ever want, stay tuned to the Rivals Report with a quick click of the subscribe button, and let me know your predictions for the MSF in the comments down below. We'll have full coverage while the event is live, so don't miss it. Season 2 of the Marvel Rivals Championship wrapped up over this weekend, with a small prize pool on the line in addition to Ignite Stage 2 invites to the top 2 teams across each region. The MRC is the perfect place to get an early look at the newest stars of Rivals Esports, and we've got some coverage from both the Americas and EMEA Grand Finals to help introduce you to these new challengers. Starting with the Americas region, it would be Cafe Noir stepping into the ring against the Rivals 7 for Grand Finals, 2 teams that are familiar names to anyone that follows the Tier 2 scene of Rivals Esports. These 2 teams have been making a name for themselves across community tournaments and lower tier official events alike, and now their Ignite rivalry is officially underway. Rivals 7 had a successful run through the upper bracket, though they had a close encounter with Steam Engines in the semifinals. Cafe Noir had been on a tear through the lower bracket for quite some time, eliminating big names from the tourney such as Rad Esports, PXG, and so on. Rivals 7 would draw first blood as the series kicked off on Hell's Heaven. A7's Chemicals was absolutely locked in on the Winter Soldier throughout this match, racking up last hits and helping carve out a winning path for his team. But Cafe Noir wouldn't stand for it, immediately returning fire as we transitioned to Map 2, Araco. Noir's 762 brought his Black Panther to bear, praising Bast and helping pull Cafe Noir into this series with their first map win. The Mutant Utopia Krakoa served as the battleground for Map 3, with both teams sufficiently warmed up and ready for a real fight. It was a gritty battle, with A7 and Noir scrapping at every opportunity they got, but it would be A7 that would return fire here and take a 2-1 lead. A7 had shown themselves to be, quite frankly, dominant on domination throughout the MRC. Yggdrasil Path was map number 4, and Rivals 7 continued expanding on their lead here with an insane hold on defense to open this one up. Cafe Noir took us to Spider Islands for map 5, and now the pressure was mounting. Sure, they'd already qualified for Ignite just by reaching the Grand Finals, but why stop there? While Cafe Noir were only able to clear about half the map, that would be more than enough as they clinched in an insane defensive hold to prevent A7 from reaching even a single checkpoint. And the Iron Curtain defense for Cafe Noir continued on map 6, this time on Hollow Dajalia, as they gave away only 2 ticks of the first objective on this map, absolutely shutting down Rivals 7. That was more than enough of a lead to allow them to coast to a map 6 victory, and yes, give us a Game 7 between these 2 scrappy teams. Midtown served as the backdrop for this tense final battle, with Rivals 7 looking to stop Cafe Noir's avalanche levels of momentum. A7 started off strong, marching down the mean streets of New York with a swift payload in tow. But Cafe Noir had plenty left in the tank in spite of playing back-to-back sets on that night, clutching at the last second to just barely prevent A7 from reaching the second checkpoint. Rivals 7 were looking for a big stall play as they switched sides, locking in a 3 Vanguard, 3 Strategist comp, but even that wouldn't be enough to topple Cafe Noir, as they'd pick up a huge win on Midtown and close out the set 4-3. 762 was the hero of that final game, cleaning up A7 with an absolutely mental pentakill on the Storm.
1 HP and 762 gonna press the Q button, but gonna be matched by the dance floor, but already using it. where the team gets back is not great value. Not much you can do, though. You have to. Here comes the portal. 762 with 3. That could be enough to win this. Make that 4, 5, and that should be the game. Cafe Noir are going to be potentially, they are your new MRC S2 champions. Wow.
Over in EMEA, Grand Finals came down to a rather familiar team if you're an EMEA follower, and one of the newer quantities on the scene. Ex-Oblivion took on Chemistry for the last series of this MRC, a rematch from their previous meeting in the upper bracket finals, where Oblivion defeated Chemistry in a 3-0 shutout. Though both of these teams locked in their spots for Stage 2 of Ignite by reaching the Grand Finals, this was Chemistry's shot at some revenge for their earlier defeat. Things started off in favor of Ex-Oblivion in this series, with the squad quickly snagging the first 2 maps out from under Chemistry. EXO had a fair bit of momentum entering this match, so it wasn't particularly surprising to see them off to such a strong start. EXO's Allegator was a big player throughout this match, with his Psylocke being a game changer as the series carried on. On the side of Chemistry, Twizzy and CrossFit had strong starts as well, but EXO seemed capable of getting the upper hand in most team fights, chaining together some big wins that led to victory on those first 2 maps. Chemistry turned things around on map 3, claiming Yggdrasil Path for themselves and getting on the board. It was a contested win, with Chemistry having to complete the entire map just to ensure their first map win, but it was a win nonetheless, and they were looking to start righting the ship. But just as quickly as they sought to wrest control away from EXO, EXO looked to steal it right back. Map 4 belonged to EXO, somehow managing to hold Chemistry on Hall of Djalia in spite of a lack of progress when EXO was on offense. Allegator brought the Rage of Ultron to this match, raining death from above as they crept towards a grand final victory. And by that point, EXO were just a single map win away, having pushed Chemistry to a 3-1 deficit. With no room left for error, Chemistry went into map 5 locked in, but Krakoa didn't go their way, finishing off the final map 2-0 in favor of Ex-Oblivion, making them the EMEA MRC Season 2 champs. And this truly feels like the birth of a new rivalry in EMEA, given that the only team to deal Chemistry a match loss was Ex-Oblivion. And these 4 teams will all be back in action when Ignite Stage 2 kicks off later this year, potentially in September. There will also be another round of open qualifiers to shake things up even further, but for now, congratulations to both Cafe Noir and Ex-Oblivion as they celebrate their victory and ring in the end of another season of Marvel Rivals. And welcome to these 4 teams to Rivals Ignite. Well, with all the Tier 1 events settled until we get to the mid-season finals, we turn our attention back to the community and the widespread effort to offer competitive platforms to teams looking to step their game up before the next phases of Ignite. Leading the charge in that department has been Engage, hosting their Grassroots weekly series throughout the month of June, bringing together teams looking to break out of the ranked ladder grind and into organized competition. And Engage's offerings just keep heating up as they announce the Chronovium Cup 2, a sequel to the tournament of the same name ran back in May. The first time around, EMEA Ignite Stage 1 champions Berber Patapim walked away the victors, with fellow Ignite competitors Zero Tenacity taking the runner-up spot. But this was before the bright lights and big stage of Ignite, showing that events like this are key in teams' development as they climb the ladder to higher-tier esports events. This time around, the Chronovium Cup is being officially endorsed by the Marvel Rivals Sparks program, a grassroots initiative from Rivals that allows Engage to hand out 12,000 units to the top teams in addition to their prize pool. At the moment, that pool is set to fall somewhere between $300 and $750, depending upon how many teams sign up to compete. We're expecting to see some teams from Engage's other ongoing Grassroots weekly series, but with Ignite going dormant for a while, who knows what teams could come out of the woodwork. The double elimination tournament is set to take place on July 19th and July 20th, and the action is scheduled so that players from multiple regions can take part. Matches will start at 11 a.m. EST for any Americas teams that are potentially interested, but at 3 p.m. GMT and 4 p.m. BST for interested EMEA squads. But keep in mind, all matches are being played on EMEA servers. Registration is open now, and links to the Gen.G sign-up page are down in the description. And speaking of returning quantities in the community tournament space, the Rivals Ascension League recently announced that they'll be back in action for Season 2, as well as revealing their plans to expand into an EMEA branch of the league. Their first season of grassroots-focused competition wrapped up in May, with Cafe Noir emerging the victors and Necospresso in a very close second to them. This league was home to some of the more well-known MRC teams, including the previously mentioned Cafe Noir and Necospresso. Joining them in competition were F5, Hakikimori, Empire Gaming, and more. Ascension League Season 2 action kicks off on July 26th and July 27th as Season 1 competitors return to do battle. For new challengers to the league, their opportunity comes starting on August 2nd as open qualifiers kick off. We're still awaiting more information regarding format, prize pool, participants, and so on, But if you and your team are interested in getting in on the action in open qualifiers, registration is open now. Links for both the Americas and EMEA qualifiers are down in the description. And finally this week, a digital marketing agency out of the Netherlands is looking to make a big splash in the EMEA Rivals space. The home of EMEA Ignite competitor FYR Strays, appropriately named Campfire, are not only looking to spread the word about their own team via a widespread marketing campaign, but they're looking to offer plenty to the whole of the Rivals community. In case you missed it, FYR Strays first sparked onto the scene in the second split of Ignite Open qualifiers, where they bested not OTPs to secure their invite to the big stage. They had a tough road through Stage 1 groups, being placed up against EMEA powerhouse Virtus Pro right out of the gate, followed by an intense matchup against Alcacia in the lower bracket. They'd be sent home, but they certainly made a splash as one of the most successful teams out of the Benelux region of Europe, a combination of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Not long after Ignite concluded, FYR Strays posted about some openings on their team, with plans to return even more powerful for a run at Stage 2 in September. The FYR Strays stand as one of the flagship products of Netherlands-based esports marketing agency Campfire, but that's far from the company's only product. Not long after the Strays' last Ignite match, Campfire dropped two big announcements, one for an upcoming Rivals Pro League, and a web-based hub for Marvel Rivals competition they're calling MR Pro. Regarding the Rivals Pro League, Campfire is looking to strike the iron while it's hot, taking advantage of the swiftly growing competitive scene by announcing a large-scale community tournament. They've already shown off some of the branding and design visions they're going for over on X, and if the production and match quality closely resembles the quality of the designs we've seen so far, then we're definitely in for a treat. I spoke with a representative of Campfire directly, and they say that the Pro League is specifically designed to be run during Ignite's downtime, allowing for more eyes to be on the event and to be one of several community contributors hosting events to fill the void while Ignite is off the air. Their plans are to run a tournament that will serve as a funnel into an even bigger league with some big prize pools in the works. Alongside launching a community tournament series, Campfire is also hard at work on a web-based competitive hub for Marvel Rivals Esports, the aforementioned MR Pro. The site is intended to be a fully featured service that allows Rivals players to set up a profile, form or find a competitive team, schedule and plan scrims, and much, much more. Think of it like something similar to Faceit, Gangster, and maybe even a healthy dash of Liquipedia. We'll be following the progress of both the Pro League and MR Pro, and providing updates when more becomes available. But for now, it's clear that Campfire have poised themselves to be a big player in the wider Rivals community, especially if you're an EMEA team or player. Well, that's all for this week's Rivals Report. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest in Rivals Esports. And don't miss my Season 3 stream special over on twitch.tv/Diatonic Rivals. We'll be getting some games in on the newest map and getting an in-depth look at Phoenix. I've been Diatonic, you've been amazing, and I'll see you in-game.